for a period of 10 minutes, with the warning bell at 8. On the topic, the wonder of it all, please welcome Kerri Ransfield.
I went to walk out of the room, and as I exited onto the landing, to the left of me was a window. And through that window, I saw the most beguiling sunset I'd ever seen. It was one of those sunsets that dares you to look away from it. It was bold and fantastic. And so I walked down the hallway toward that window. It was probably only as wide as this stage is. And I stood and I looked as it dared me to marvel at it. And I couldn't help but think, in the wake of such a beautiful view, all I could do was humble myself and wonder at the beauty of it all. Earlier that morning, back inside that room, the oncologist comes in and she says, "We need to get this infection under control, and until we do, there won't be any more chemo. And if you've got any family around, we would recommend that you call them to come around and be close." And in that moment, I could feel the colour begin to drain from my world. I knew it was coming, but I also knew that the person I was going to be for however long was going to change. When I stepped out of that room towards the window, I looked out and looked at those mesmerising colours. And I thought, how is it possible when you feel that the world is crumbling within you, that you can still see beauty in the world? That such a thing through your eyes and through your brain, the wonder of it all as you perceive it, even in these darkest moments, can capture you. So I stood, looking through that bare window, and it was quite low down too, so I had to crouch down to be able to look at it. Suddenly, I could hear a chair being dragged behind me. Now let me tell you, the person that invents a quiet hospital will be a millionaire. Hospitals are the least quiet places on the planet, and the only quiet part in a hospital is the part you don't want to go to. You're all terrible people. I hear the chair being dragged behind me as I'm looking out. And a gentleman comes and sits beside me. Now, it is very clear, if not by the gown and the waistband, just how he looks being in the oncology ward, and I mean that with all due respect. It was very obvious that he was a patient there. And given the disparity in our ages, any actuarial table just would have a probability that I have more time than him. I close my eyes and he comes up and he goes, "It's going to be okay, love." I thought he was wrong. And then he goes, "I've done this 3 times. I promise you, you will be okay." And he touches my shoulder. I almost cried. In that moment, I realised that I was inside myself at that point. I was being selfish. And when you're being selfish, there is no room to wonder. And I looked at him as he took me outside, and he opens outside myself, and he opens his eyes. And we're both I'm still crouching, and we're both looking out this window. And he said, "No matter what happens, This view, it will be here the same time tomorrow. I took his words in, too busy worrying about myself and what was going to happen to me. But I looked at him, and then I was overcome by a sense of wonder. I was provoked into the wonder of it all. I wondered how a man who had done this journey 3 times, when I'd only been a witness to one, I wondered how he could look so serene, given his circumstances. I wondered how he could be resilient, even though he was facing his own mortality while standing next to me. I wondered whether or not he was afraid that there would be no tomorrow, as I took mine for granted. And in the wonder of it all, I marvelled at the strength of those people who, brittle and fragile in body, were some of the strongest people I had ever met. He was wrong though. He died at the end of the week. Visiting hours have closed. Now the nurses have gotten to know me, so they allow me a bit of breathing space. So normally everyone gets kicked out at 8. They allow me a generous 10. The load is difficult, and it's only getting heavier for some of the people in this room who have ever cared for loved ones with cancer. I decide that I'm too wired to go home and too tired, too wired to go home. So I decide to leave the hospital and I head out to the beach. Now for me, nature is a huge provocation towards marvelling at the wonder of it all. I'm not religious, but there is something about a sunset or a sea or a starscape that takes me outside of myself and wonders how these things were made. And it inspires a sense of beauty in me that can calm the quelling sea in times of chaos. I pull into the car park at Cottesloe Beach, and there's, to my surprise, at 10 o'clock at night, there's a whole heap of people there. There's been storms lately, so there's a lot of people taking advantage of the surfing conditions. I walk down the dunes, and as I want to do, I take my shoes off and I dip my feet into the water. And then I decide, effort, I'm going in. Fully clothed, much like I am now, I run and dive headfirst into the water. And I stay there. And I can feel the water going over the top of me. And I'm probably only this deep, but I'm sitting down and the water is crowning my head. I think, and I sit there, almost meditatively, in the water. All I can hear are the muffled sounds of the surfers around me. But otherwise, it's just me and the water and my own thoughts. As I begin to surface, I marvel at how calm and how peaceful it is under the water. Obviously I can't remember, and I dare say none of you can, but I imagine it's like being in the womb. And I wonder how many people have been in this ocean facing far worse things than me, and perhaps not even at Cottesloe, but any ocean. I wondered how many people have sought solace underneath the water in times of trouble for themselves, as I had. And I wondered, what is it about that motion of the waves that tells us to calm down, that brings us back into focus, that brings us into oneness with nature? So I rise and I come back out. The next day, I go to the shops to pick up some supplies to take up to the hospital. And there is a little girl there pestering her mum with questions, endless numbers of questions. And they were good questions too, wherein been more worse. She goes, "Mum, if cows make milk, do they also make ice cream?" That's an excellent question. "Mum, do grapefruit, grapeseed oil come from grapes or from grapefruit? I thought that was another excellent question. And I could see what she wanted was connection. She wanted connection with her mother. She wanted someone larger than herself to come and bring her out and answer all those things all those things in the world that she marvelled at, the things that she was taking in, the wonder of it all. And as I watched her go out the checkout, and I watched them go out to the car, I thought, in the big moments and in the small moments, whether you're in an oncology ward or you're in Woolworths watching little kids pester their mum for an answer, everywhere that you look and in every circumstance, there is something that you can look at and marvel at the wonder of it all.